Hello guys, I'm here to talk to you today about a very one-to-one thing, hopefully explaining the state of TCG. For credibility, exactly who we are, and who, if you're coming across this video or this channel for the first time, we are the Brotherhood Games. We've been doing this for about since 2012 and been running large-scale events from Yu-Gi-Oh to Pokemon to Carfight Vanguard. Been vending out some of the biggest shows that you can imagine around the world: YCSs, EUIC, regionals, and even treasure cups in the past as well. So if you want to check us out, we're in London. Got two stores in here, one specifically designated between Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, and another store dedicated to other 10 TCGs. I'm here with Emily, so I might communicate with her at times here and there. If you have never met Emily in the past, she's the one that does all our YouTube shorts. So please kind of go and give a lot of nice little likes and thumbs up to those and give them a few views. The reason why I wanted to sit in front of the camera with you guys and kind of explain to you something is, I think a lot of people talk to us throughout the day in the shop and kind of talk to us about, what do you think about this investment? What do you think about this game? What is your opinion on this game? And obviously, when you talk to any particular person or member of staff at the time, it really does depend on what they specialize in. So you talk to the right person, you're going to kind of understand a lot about Yu-Gi-Oh and what is the expectation of that, or what you're going to have. Oh, should I invest into Pokemon at this particular time, or what should I be buying in Pokemon? Well, the simple answer is that, look, we don't know the answer to all of these, but we have very, very good predictions of what usually does well. So what I really want to start with is something like Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering, we've been doing this for, 6 months? It is one of the biggest performing games already in our store, showing how monstrous this actual game is. It is absolutely crazy what this game does on a daily basis, even in our shop. And we're very new to it, and we've only just started doing WPN. They've got some of the two biggest franchises joining their repertoire next year. You're talking Marvel. If anybody saw the Secret Lair drop, absolutely went crazy. Scalp to hell, botted everything you want to do. Went crazy. Now selling for almost 4 to 5 times the amount that it was ever listed for. And the other one is Final Fantasy, which is crazy because, believe it or not, guys, Final Fantasy has its own trading card game, and it is one of the most well printed, best looking, and best quality cards that you could probably buy on the market for a reasonable price. So what I will say is, if that you are a big fan of Final Fantasy and you do like the Magic cards, I think you really should look into Final Fantasy TCG, because, in all honesty, it is crazy how cheap beautiful cards are, including signed cards as well. So going with Magic, obviously I'm not going to talk much about it, because the crazy thing about Magic, as I said, is the IPs that they bring into it, and the way they also rotate their cards and reprint their cards, and they still maintain a very, very good value over time. They can reprint Mana Crypts in different variants, and then all of a sudden it doesn't affect the original price of a Mana Crypt too much. You're talking a 10-20% decrease. So it's showing that if you do invest into Magic cards at the time of release, it barely goes down in price. This is just my opinion now. Obviously, a lot of Magic people might be spitting and flaming at me and going, "Michael, you're not correct. This is not the case." But this is what I see in a reflection from, Dublin Season, Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, all these other cards being reprinted, and you see that the reprints are at a low price, but the original ones really do start at a really consistent price. And I think Magic is going to have a very, very big year. We've also got SpongeBob SquarePants Secret Lair as well coming out. In the past, Street Fighter have been part of them, Godzilla being part of this. It is crazy the amount of IPs they can bring in, and that really does show what Hasbro's can. Once Hasbro's gets their hand onto something and does the marketing for it, it really can fly off the rails. But yeah, what I will find is Magic is in a very good place. I think I can happily move over to Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Yu-Gi-Oh is probably what started the Brotherhood Games off. If it wasn't for this game, the Brotherhood Games wouldn't be here. This started from attending a little locals in Bexley Heath at the time. A lot of people might have heard of it. I won't mention the name for other reasons, but I went there and I found the love of Yu-Gi-Oh, and because of that, I think that made me want to play Yu-Gi-Oh on a more regular basis than once a month, because I was working 6 days a week at the time doing hairdressing. Probably a lot of people don't know this about me, doing hairdressing. And then the one thing is, I was just like, okay, the other 3 weeks I'm not there, I would really like to run a Sunday. And that's what sparked the Brotherhood Games in 2012 December, which is actually coming up to our anniversary of this video. So it is a very, very big deal. I think the biggest criticism we can have of Yu-Gi-Oh at this current market is we don't know where the influx of new players are going to come, but for some reason Konami and Yu-Gi-Oh do it on a regular basis, where if I look at my local scene, new players are constantly coming in naturally. And I think that's the pull of Yu-Gi-Oh, because it is such a well-built game and well-constructed, and they've got a philosophy, and they've got an objective that they've recycled very, very well. And because of that, it keeps a lot of players in. And I think what a lot of people are kind of been failing to see about the negative side, which is the price support at the moment from Yu-Gi-Oh, that it doesn't reflect into other trading card games. You know, Pokemon offering £20,000 scholarships, Lorcana offering £10,000, tens of thousands of pounds of cards of winning the event. You know, and I think I've always said this about every single trading card game. You do not need to offer cash prizing. You do need to offer product. If you add exclusive cards onto these events and increase the pool of exclusive cards, that will become reselling into the market. And then I believe that that's what it will massively help out the player base. It is as simple as take this ultra rare card, increase the rarity, but add more into the prize pool in terms of other cards that you can add into it. Because what that will do is, believe it or not, guys, your card game is collectible as well, and it will massively bring the collectors out into the market. And I will say one thing: when you got poster boys like this is Dark Magician, Blue Eyes, and all that type of thing, I genuinely think you should use your poster boys to the best of their ability. Pokemon do it on time and time again. We're now sitting in Surgeon Sparks. You know, it is absolutely crazy that we don't see people like Konami exploiting the fact that they have these sort of things and extending it. We've just had Bonanza. The most expensive card in Bonanza is a Blue Eyes White Dragon QCR, hitting almost £80 to £100. It is crazy to see that these are the things that we should focus on. We always, again, the same thing with Konami. I talk to people all the time and they go, well, we can't always have a good set. And I always say, well, you can have a good set as long as you arrange your secret rarities or your rarities in the correct place. So I think we've just had Raids of the Abyss, we've had Infinite Forbidden, we've had Bonanza, we've had Rarity Collection 2, we had the tins. The tins were spoiled by Bonanza, a really weird choice. But however, we're still selling tins, even though Bonanza's out. It's crazy what this market is doing at the moment in terms of with Yu-Gi-Oh! Because every time everyone tells me that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is failing us, they always come and surprise us with a very consistent set. You know, we sell boxes. I think I saw boxes, right? I can tell you honestly, right? With VAT, the biggest discount you can get on a box is £49 at distribution price. £49. And there's people selling these boxes for £58 online on e-commerce. Rage of Abyss was selling for £58 a booster box. That's a profit margin of £9 post-tax, pre-tax, net or gross or whatever you want to say. It is crazy that one of the biggest anticipated sets of the year in terms of how it performed and how good it was is selling for £9 profit. And it's sold out, gone, completely disappeared. So, my scope is on all that is that obviously whoever's putting in the numbers or doing all these sort of things, even we underestimated this set. You know, we only got 15 cases, which is 5 cases less than when we know it's going to be a popular set. So even for us, it's not huge. But you can understand in our perspective, we sell a box usually at £60 a box, and we're earning £11. And we're like, well, realistically, this box could probably go closer towards the £70 mark. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Retails for almost £100 a box. No Yu-Gi-Oh! Set has ever hit a retail price, ever. Lorcana can do it. Magic the Gathering can do it. Pokemon can do it. Do you know what I mean? One Piece has done it consistently since it's been out. And I think this is one of the biggest problems with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that how do we make that product get closer towards retail price and actually make more shops and more OTS stores and more people invest into the product to make it more consistent in line with retail price. So what I will say to one thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, and if you're a player at this point, yes, your game is expensive, but it's also very acquirable on so many scales. It's never getting scalped. The people that generally buy the product are one of collecting and one of playing, and it's definitely the needle's not like collecting here, collecting over here, and needle and playing over here. It is playing and collecting. So what I will say on that perspective is that it is probably, other than maybe Magic, it is the biggest playable TCG by far the Brotherhood Games has seen in its tenure. I'm not saying that's worldwide, but I'm saying that's, if you look at the world record for the Guinness World Record for an attendance of TCG, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7,000 players in Japan. Absolutely crazy. So, if you had to ask me, would I invest into Yu-Gi-Oh! And the cards and everything like that, I'd say if you're a player, pick up your cards, play your cards, don't worry about reprints, because no matter what, you're usually getting anywhere between 6 to 9 months of enjoyable playtime through those cards. And do that. If you want to go and resell them and do certain things through the third market, second and now market and all this type of thing, you're very welcome to do that. But ultimately, I'll tell you one thing. I do not know if I had to put £2,000 to £3,000 into something. I do not know if I can get 9 months of enjoyments out of £2,000 to £3,000. And I know everyone's like, this guy's talking about 2 to 3 grand on a trading card game. I'm only talking about if you're on a competitive level and all these other factors. This is what it costs to play a TCG at a very high level, especially for Yu-Gi-Oh! Which, when I move on to our next game, which is probably Pokemon, you could probably play a meta deck for, at very low level, to £100. And I think maybe that's where Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not getting its scope, where a lot of people can pick up One Piece, Lorcana, and Pokemon for less than £500 a meta deck and play that for consistently for 3 months, and it will equal up a lower cost price from Yu-Gi-Oh! However, as I said, Yu-Gi-Oh's got very good saleability on the long term in terms of meta decks as well. You know, cards are £60 on a meta card, where on Pokemon it's £10. Right, let's move over to Pokemon. This is 40% of our business. It is crazy. I cannot explain the phenomenon that is Pokemon, but this is my first trading card game I ever collected or did anything was Pokemon. It's captured me since I was a kid, and it hasn't left my heart ever. I still collect to these days. I wish I would. I should have brought my binder for this video to see the modern stuff that I do collect. I am a very basic person in terms of my favourite Pokemon is Charizard. But that is because of the history of the anime, that the reason why I like Charizard. And I've always liked storyline with anything. You know, the animes I like, although I'm a Demon Slayer fan and all these other factors, I've also sat there and listened to like ReZero and them just explaining the whole plot for 10 episodes, and then action happens. I've always enjoyed that. And Charizard really captured me because I don't think we never saw Ash train as hard to gain the trust of a Pokemon other than Charizard. So from my point of view, that's the reason why I resonated with that Pokemon and why it did what it did. Pokemon is the biggest media franchise in the world. That means it beats Disney, it beats, Pixar, all these other factors. Obviously, if we combine Disney as a whole, it's larger. But other than tech companies and bankers, Pokemon is by far one of the biggest companies in the world, and it is completely dominating TCG at the moment for one reason and one reason only: collecting. They are the people that do not. Their marketing is fantastic. Their structure of what they do is worked for years. You know, as long as something's rare in a pack, people will chase it. And there's one bit of information I've always wanted to tell you guys is, as a store, we look at the reflection of every single big card that has come out on the previous years, right? Let's go post-COVID at this current moment, right? Not even talking about COVID. COVID was a phenomenon for everybody throughout this world. We understand everything that has happened. But if we just strictly look at alt arts, no alt arts has remained at its highest price since its existence. Obviously, it's very inflated when it comes out. Even when it increases in price, a Lugia V from Silver Tempest, even if it hits 150 to £200, you know, $150 to $200 in its hype time, even when it saw an increase in price and all these other factors, Giratina, you keep on going through Machamp, all of these cards through Sword and Shield, even Sun and Moon era, through tag teams. Even when they see a price increase, they've always dropped. 90% of all tarts and higher rarity cards always will settle around a price about maybe a year to 2 years after its existence. And then you'll only see that increase when you start hitting numbers of 5 years to decades that you see increase in the price of these alt arts. And if anyone doesn't believe me, you're very, very welcome to go and look at the pricing structure of, go back to a tag team, post-COVID, see the price of it, see the price of it now. If this is doubled in price in that time, you're talking this is 3 years now since COVID, check the price of that card and you tell me right now it's even doubled. It might have increased by 10%. So if you're talking the card is $200 or £200, it would have gone to $220. And that's only because of scarcity of the card. However, there is phenomenals, guys. Let's talk about Moon Kitty. Moonbron is one of that reasons, but I think that's because that card has captured so many people's imagination of wanting to own that card. And because of that, there's only so much that you can get of it. And Evolving Skies not only had Moonbron in it, it had Rayquaza VMAX, Rayquaza V, and every other kitty in it as well. When everyone's going to be annoyed at me by calling it a kitty. It just, kids have started calling it a Moon Kitty to me and I started adopting it. But the foxes. And because of that, when you open up a pack, there's a more consistent basis that you can hit big on a consistent basis. But these packs are selling for what? $12 to $20 or pounds. It's absolutely crazy what that set has done. But when that set was released, we knew exactly what the response is. And then we're looking at Prismatic Evolution. I've heard the ETBs from Pokemon Center are selling for $200 to $300 already. This thing was released at $60 or whatever it was. It's absolutely crazy how people are responding to what the previous hype was, because they have evidence of it. And this is something I use constantly with even my customers. If you can show me the evidence of what something is, and then we'll respond to what the evidence is. But if there's no evidence and it's all speculation, you can't I can't start pricing stuff of, oh, but this might be £100. It's 50 quid at the moment. We're going to have to price it at 50 quid. But it is simple as, when you are investing into something, there's only one certain thing that always usually responds well in Pokemon, and that is usually sealed product. I can go back and look at a Steam Siege box. I can tell you right now, there was a time where Steam Siege, Hidden Fates, Evolution, Breakpoint, Breakthrough, all of these other cool X and Y sets, I had them when I started the business 10 years ago, and they were not selling. The box, we put them in the storage, the boxes got damaged, all these other factors. Every single week I was packing it away from the club, every single week. And we did have about 15, 20 Pokemon players at the time. You're talking across the room, we still had 40 Yu-Gi-Oh players, but at the same time, that stuff just wasn't selling. We took Hidden Fates to a Comic-Con, and it did not shift. It didn't matter if there was a Charizard in it or anything like that. it was basically impossible to sell this stuff thing at retail price. But that was post COVID. We don't talk about that. That was a really really rare time in TCG history where this wasn't a good business, and we did this strictly for love. And yeah, I still do that, but ultimately, obviously, bills and shops are a lot more expensive. So what I would say is you're very welcome to go and buy all arts at the price that they got them and put them in your binder and forget about the fact that you got it and you pay the card. And eventually the card will get to that price again. I'm convinced of that, 100%. If you've been doing this for 25 years or been collecting since the dawn of time, where you used to go around with your starter deck Pikachu and start trading them for hollows on the playground when you're 10 years old, like I was, you would understand right now that these cards will be this sort of price. But a Charizard from base set was £100 back then, or you could obviously buy it for a lot cheaper. But after a few years of when the hype was happening, it was £100 back then, and is what 300 now at a good condition. If we start to go into PSA, obviously you start hitting £3,000 to £4,000, but that's only if they're valued at 10. And we're not talking about the first edition, guys. That was only available in America. So we're talking about a strictly unlimited Charizard on Always Effectors. It's X3 even if it was in mint condition. And that card is 25 years old. So there's evidence there that a card will increase in price, but you're talking over 2 decades. So it is kind of crazy when you are thinking about these sort of amounts. So what I will say is invest into sealed product is probably the safest bet. I'll go back to Steam Siege and Hidden Fates as well. Hidden Fates again is only like 100 to 120 in ETB, but it's still a lot bigger than its £52.50 cost price. If you choose the right sets, if you leave a Prismatic Evolution ETB in the cupboard for a year, it probably will be £80 to £90 in 2 years' time. It is very very likely that that's the thing. But if you invest into a card, unless you're grading it, and this is the biggest aspect, unless you're grading it, you will not gain huge amounts of it in 5 years or 10 years' time. Collect for yourself. Buy for yourself. And if one day you come to sell them, and then maybe you'll have the financial point of view of what your Pokemon cards will truly value. But what I would say personally is do what I do. Like, don't get me wrong, I sell this for a living. And I earn a living out of it, and 10 other people earn a living because of the way the Brotherhood Games runs, because hopefully you do appreciate us. But one thing's really important, put the first thing first. Take what your heart believes in, and buy what you think is good for yourself. Buy Pokemon cards because you love Pokemon cards, and don't think about the money aspect. Everybody can tell you right now, I will literally be in the shop and I'll crack packs for the fun of having cracking packs, and I'll get nothing. Sometimes it's not even about hitting the best pull. Sometimes it's about hitting the little pull. When you open up a pack and you hit an £8 card and you doubled your money on a booster pack, or you got something cool, it's exhilarating. Even when you hit a full art and it's not even a popular Pokemon, that's the reason why I enjoy opening up product. And majority of the time when we do open up product for the store, it's usually at a loss, but we're doing it so we make sure we have stock on the shelves. So, and there's a lot of aspects that come into it. Obviously, if you sell the bulk, that adds up. If you sell playables like we do for the game, that adds up. And then by the end of it, sometimes you do hit that big card like a Pikachu, and you do earn money out of a case. So, yeah. Pokemon tournaments, very well balanced. Increasing in popularity every single time. There does come a point when you're collecting that you must be thinking, what does the game play like? Especially with Pokemon Pocket coming out and the simplicity of how that game mode is done. It was a work of genius from Pokemon. You know, you're talking free card system, free price system, matches last 5 minutes. From there, it will gain loads more people into the industry and into the player aspect going from there. But Pokemon does have one issue when it comes to tournaments. A very big issue. Off-season. Once Worlds is done, we have like 3 months of absolutely nothing for Pokemon. Player base is decreased by half. People don't really want to play as much. They don't have the objective of it. There's no cups or challenges. And there's nothing to fill that void that after that, when it's done, that you want to kind of improve it. So I don't know what Pokemon can do to kind of improve that section of it, but shops do suffer on a tournament basis. And I'm telling you, if a shop doesn't, very well done. You've got your processes done and all that sort of thing. But we do GLC, you can do expanded, you can do drafts, all these other factors to kind of do Pokemon. But realistically, other than that, there's not really much drive during that void that can kind of help tournaments in terms of Pokemon. As I said, Pokemon is by far our biggest earner. Thank you very much for everything you do. I don't think the Brotherhood would exist without you. Rhymes, hey. So yeah, it's a very, very beautiful hobby to be part of, and I absolutely love it. But at the same time, it's also very great to see Surgeon Sparks selling for £140 a booster box, which is retail price, and stores could have been earning that money, and people are happy to pay it. This is the first time I've seen a price hit a retail price, and customers are walking in like, yep, that's the price, and I agree on the price. However, what the biggest issue with it is that rip and ship and other manipulators in the market, big players that have a lot of cash flow, can manipulate the market very heavily. Surgeon Sparks, because of rip and ship and all these things. And guys, a lot of rip and ship people that are rip and ship people think that I'm blaming you and all that type of thing. Look, man, everyone gonna earn their cheddar how they're gonna earn their cheddar. Gonna earn your money how you're gonna earn your money. I really don't mind. And it doesn't affect me in any way because I get my allocations, I put my money, my allocations in, and as a store, we don't really get affected. But other stores probably out there are getting affected. But rip and ships that obviously don't want to be VAT registered and are all different companies and all these other factors, and third parties that do go to officials and resell them, and there's a lot of them, guys. It's not like one or two. If you look for these third party people, they're out there. And they will sell you a booster box for like £105 or £110 so you can rip and ship them and probably earn retail price out of a booster box. But rip and ship has massively affected the market. Surgeon Sparks, the reason why it's gone the way it's gone is because strictly TikTok, whatnot, are such a huge player in what we're doing, is that these guys, where I could sell 150 booster boxes in 2 days, they could probably rip 150 booster boxes in a night. It is absolutely crazy, that model of business. And in all honesty, they have to do that volume because they won't be earning the money. It's as simple as that. We stand there, we hand you over a booster box and done. You got to think of what those people being paid on an hourly rate just to rip and ship. And I do commend them because if it wasn't for them, I don't think the hobby would be a bit as big as it is and my shop wouldn't be as big as it is. I've always believed that it's not Brotherhood Games and then other stores. It is one big community, and we're all here to coexist with each other and make sure that this hobby and everybody around the world understands what our industry is and try and teach it to people. You know, a lot of people owning stores will have to explain why a card is worth £100 to a parent one day or other people and why it's worth this sort of money. And all of this sort of stuff is really important. You know, it's crazy. Honestly, Pokemon is mental. I won't tell you what we earn in terms of thing. If you really want to know what the Brotherhood earns, you're very welcome to go and check our company's housing and you can see our turnover. But I know we just did our accounting for this year. It is a crazy number. And I can tell you right now, Pokemon owns most of it. So, yeah, absolutely mental. Let's move on to the new boy on the town. 2 years old, 2 years into it. Over eclipsing other games already. Massively taking a big part of the market share. Coming very, very quickly with a good price point, a good retail price point, good value in a booster box. One Piece. Not only did they come on a tournament scene, I heard they changed it this year for the negative, which is a really weird point from there. But they came in with serialized cards from the beginning. You know, And then on top of it, not only do you get serialized cards, like I said, guys, a company that understood the objective from the beginning. Serialized card for first place, and then as you go down the line, for every position that you end in, you get additional cards. They're rare. They're never going to be seen again. They're stamped with the stamps. Now, I'm not saying it's a huge amount of money, but it might be worth 50 quid to £500 for these additional cards that you get on top of your serialized card. That is usually worth, what, 3 to 5 grand? First place was selling for $100,000 plus last year in the World Championships. Is absolutely crazy what this is doing. But One Piece also have figured out that you need to chase something in a booster box as well. Just what Pokemon have done, just what Magic have done, just what Yu-Gi-Oh have done. There needs to be something that you want to hunt. Manga rares. One of the best things they've ever done. And on top of it, they reprinted them recently with PRB. And what did they do with that? Oh, the only way you can get it is a God pack. You're talking, in some cases, this pack could pay your rent for, like, with some cases, for some people, almost half of a year. You know, it's crazy what this pack can do. Estimated value 3, let's just say a low end. Estimated high value 5. If you start grading this sort of stuff, it's crazy what this stuff can come in at. You know, and at the same time, it's rare to pull, but it's not impossible. You know, it's not like it's swing. And then on top of it, you get manga rares in these boxes as well. Whatever the formation that One Piece has done was absolutely fantastic. They come in with a great set from the beginning, right? And then they continued on. But there's one problem with One Piece. It is not aligned. We're not aligned with Japan. It is the biggest problem. And what you find with that is that the game is highly playable. There is a massive player base for it. Loads of people want to play it. And even the people that have been here since day one, maybe 20% have left. And the 20% they've left from the people that play One Piece, they've gained that 20% from new customer base as well. So it's absolutely crazy that this is what One Piece is doing. You know, it's wherever it's losing players, it will just gain it back as well. And they've got more people playing the card game. But once again, they've captured the most important thing of a trading card game. Collectability. Every single box, no matter what, you're guaranteed 2 high rare cards. Set standards of what your pull rates are in a booster box is always going to be a good formula for a successful TCG. And the reason why I do think Pokemon have got it wrong in this sort of sense is that you just don't know what you're going to get. It is the wild, wild west when you open up a booster box. You might lose £50, open up a booster box, but you get cool cards, but you might make £300, but you just generally don't know. It's the exact same thing with One Piece, but at least you know you're going to get 2 high-rated cards. The problem is, those cards might be duds. But hey, luck is luck, all these other factors. Leader cards as well, in high rarity. Original artworks that is done with One Piece. And then that just set off the phenomenon that is One Piece. Believe it or not, I think One Piece sold out for us set 1. Set 2 didn't really go fly off the shelves and go crazy. Because one thing Bandai haven't got right at this current moment is printing quantities. I think from OPO 6 to 8, this has been a pretty atrocious time as a store to understand what you can and can't sell in terms of One Piece. We do not know allocations and all these other factors, but it seems like they've sorted this out with OPO 9 because they knew it was going to be a good set. And the other negative thing that we're going to say about One Piece is, as I said, because it doesn't align with Japan. I already know that OPO 9 is a good set. So people don't want to buy OPO 8. They all want to invest into OPO 9. And the scalpers will come back. And the people that want to crack packs just to go and get a Gold Roger because there's value in the booster box again. All of these sort of factors in that booster box, is all of those collectors are going to come back. But they weren't here for 6, 7 and 8. They just weren't here. 5 they were here because it's obvious. And on top of it, OPO 10, again, is looking like we got our first event card as a manga. But OPO 10 is looking nowhere near the capabilities of OPO 9. But that does go back to the fact of when you do talk to people, they do say, we can't keep on providing you with godness all the time. We can't keep on providing you with the best sets every single time and time again. But with One Piece, I find 1, 2, and 3 went well. 3 was hard to sell. 2 was hard to sell. I had 1 on the shelves for 3 months when the reprint come in, and it wasn't selling. All of a sudden it went crazy, but no one wanted to buy 4 because believe it or not, 4 was awful. It had a really outside character in Saba as a manga rare, and because of this, the biggest reason is everyone knew 5 was afterwards, and no one wanted to buy 4. And the same thing has happened with 6, 7, 8, because what you do find is that 6 was delayed for us in the UK. Maybe it sold well in the US and other territories, but 7 did well, but we got that on time. We got a healthy allocation. All of a sudden, funny enough, that's a good selling set. But OPO 8, they already announced OPO 9, and we're done for. So now we know that everybody's saving up for OPO 9. It's a big problem. But this leads into every other Bandai game currently on the market. Dragon Ball Fusion World, spoiled by distribution. However, it's got the same release date as Japan, and because of that, it creates creativity through the players. Not one of the most popular games. Digimon aligning by April. Sign cards, all these other factors. But believe it or not, it's so hard to keep Digimon players within the community and get them playing because of inconsistencies of distribution. And then on top of it, it's again one of the most prettiest card games. But the IP is huge in Japan, but outside the Japanese territory, it's not as big as, say, the other IPs I've already mentioned from Bandai games. Battle Spirits was their own take on bringing their own IPs into things. Again, in the UK, definitely a failure. In other territories, might be doing better. In Japan, huge. And then now we go on to the next big one, Fighting Robots. Gundam. We'll see how this goes, honestly. I'm excited for it. It's another TCG I can sell. Another TCG that I can try and specialise in from the very beginning. I love learning for new things as well. But this all lines in the formula that when Dragon Ball initially come out with Masters, which again is a very collectible card game, but not playable, was probably one of the best well-beat TCGs out there ever. The game was absolutely great. But to play the game, you need to pull a secret rare, and these secret rares were £100 to £200 each. So, realistically, how do you get new players to come into that card game? You know what you do? New sticker, Dragon Ball Fusion. So, but again, Dragon Ball Fusion is so cheap to play. It's not expensive. I think the most valuable card that you need to play is £20, but every other card in it is practically under the price of £2. They've figured out a very, very good formula with that, and I'm very surprised it doesn't do better than it does. You know, One Piece is a phenomenon that is One Piece. I will sit here and could talk to you about the anime all day and say that I am a fan, but I'm also frustrated with pacing, which a lot of people will be like, you're a donut, you don't know what you're talking about. But it is the largest, again, one of the largest IPs in the world. Hence the reason why when Netflix comes out with a show about it, it is absolutely huge. But, I'll say it again, Bandai have got this correct on One Piece. They learned all of the mistakes from Dragon Ball Masters. They learned all of the mistakes with Digimon. And then when they finally got the IP that they really wanted to create a TCG, they've got it right because they've learned from 5 years of mistakes or positivity from the other card games. They realise we can't put high rarity cards that are playable at £150. Everything needs to be consistent and you need to be able to pull rare cards all the time. And that's really important. And on top of it, they took the most important aspect. How do we get collectors to come? Let's get a chase. Something that people will crack boxes upon crack boxes and do things. And the only reason why this sounds is as affordable it is a lot of people need to understand something. If I go through a magic box in Japan is the price of a magic box here. It is what it is. But if I go from Pokemon, a booster box in Japan is approximately £30 and under, even for a big set. If I go to One Piece, a booster box is £30, £35 maybe, and under. If I go Dragon Ball, same thing. If I keep on doing this, yes, you get less cards, yes, you get less high rarity cards and all that type of thing, but there's so much second-hand market in Japan that all of this stuff just makes the game absolutely nothing to play. Where our market, a booster box is £108 after licensing, after importing, after adding more cards into a pack, all these other factors. I've always said to a company, stop giving us 10 cards a pack if it costs the reducing the booster box price. I think everybody will agree. I would want less commons in my booster pack, and I want maybe one rare or something like that. I like the Japanese structure. It will be a good way to go. And it really does surprise me. That's what Bandai didn't really do. Top 4 already. 2 years in. Not going anywhere. The story's not going anywhere. You know, we know that's got probably another 5 to 10 years to go. Biggest world building. There's a pool of characters of 25 years to choose from. So there's no creativity issues there when it comes to the R&D department. So, One Piece, welcome to the party. You know, really great. Lorcana. Hello Disney. Hello Ravensburger. And welcome to the world that is TCG. Exactly like One Piece, but even more crazier the way it came onto the market. You're talking, I saw dad scalping. Not just normal scalping types. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, what is a normal scalping type? Look, man, sneakerheads, all this type of stuff, not targeting anyone, all this type of thing. But scalpers are there to earn what they need to earn. They can do what they need to do. I've always said something, if you need to earn your living a particular way, all well and good. If I can stop you being greedy, I'm going to stop you being greedy. And that's what we've always done in the store. But it is crazy when you start seeing parents trying to take advantage of a situation just because they want to get cards for their kids. That's when you know you've got a problem. Because not only have you got people that just were like, well, I can buy this for 100 and sell it for 200. You've got people that are like, I need to buy this for 100 because I can't get it. I can't afford to pay £200 because my kid wants to collect Disney card games. But believe it or not, the people that are collecting Disney card games are not kids. It's adults. It's people that have grown up from Disney over the years and they've got adult money and they just really want to see, you know, rather than a Pikachu on a card, Disney characters being played on it. And I'll be honest with you, it is probably one of the most lovely communities that you've ever entangled with because it comes from a place of magic and Disney has always given that to us. However, not only have they come in with a great price structure, tournaments on high scale levels, I know people that personally care about the business and care about this TCG doing really well because they work on the back end of it. I can tell you honestly, I've seen a decline. I've seen a decline through third party sales. I've seen a decline through people buying the amount of booster boxes they buy. I've seen a decline of casuals buying booster boxes. I've seen the casual, again, the same with packs. I've seen people not collecting sets of set 3 to 6, for instance. And you do already see the decline. However, what's already there is still huge. You've seen the hype of Lorcana kind of disappear a little bit, but everybody that was here for the original magical things that I've said at the beginning of what I said about Lorcana are still here. They're still here to do everything. Same thing what we can say. They did the right thing. Chase cards. Enchanted. There has to be a collectible point of view of the card game, and it's simple as Enchanted was the way to go. Now, you can like certain sets of Enchanted and all these other factors, but still remains to this day, Disney princesses are always going to demand the highest price. And whether we like it or not, guys, this is the way it will go. You can put a husband though, or a wifey, or anything on a set, but it comes down to one thing: we are subdued into the Disney world because of characters, and if the characters are main characters, these ones are always going to sell better. Elsa, Stitch, um, Alice, Belle, Jasmine, Cinderella, Ursula, really, really big characters that are really main points of view, go from there. Enchanted dudes, I'm not doing so well. They do get an okay price, but ultimately, these are the things that you want to chase. And if that's not in the set, and then it doesn't bring people out of the woodworks to do anything. So we really have to see where Lorcana are going to kind of hopefully fix the issues on collectability and bring the casuals back into the game. Because they probably need to fix that sooner rather than later, rather than waiting to try and fix these things. Because as we know, TCGs are done in like a year or beyond. So the next Pokemon set that's been planned is like probably not even Scarlet and Violet anymore at this point. You know, it might be the new era that is going to be coming out a year from now. And they've already probably started on the concept of it, or already started making cards in it from now. And I believe probably Ravensburger are doing the same, or the Lorcana team are doing the same as well. So that's a very big point. As I said, Lorcana is one of our big 5 games. We sell tons of it as well. But that's because, you know, again, we have to compete on the market where there is a lot of this product on the market. And where we used to be earning 120 a booster box, now we'd be lucky to maybe make it 95 a booster box. Which, again, I can tell you right now, is a profit margin of, what, barely 20%? A lot of people, what they need to understand is that this TCG does not make a lot of money. Volume makes a lot of money. Hence the reason why we figured out that from a long time ago. Selling singles can make you money, but taxes, believe it or not, HMRC and the government earn about 35% of my business. And they take that every single year without fail. So that's pretty big. So what I will say with Lorcana is, every time there's a positive or a negative, Lorcana react so quickly to fixing the issues they want. Oh, there's no tape on top of our booster box. Okay, we'll put a tape on it. Oh, you can still get into it. Okay, we seal them. Oh, there's a problem with pricing. Pricing. Yeah, we'll fix that quickly. You can't buy direct. You go through distributors allocation. Don't worry. Yeah, exactly. Said you could buy direct if you're a store that is worthy of it. What about e-commerce and the problem with e-commerce and online market? You know what? Stores get it 2 weeks early before everybody else. And if you've seen that selling it online before 2 weeks, you get infractions and you can't sell Lorcana anymore. Oh, we need big scale tournaments at a local level. You know what? You get store championships every 3 months. They have reacted so quickly to every single problem. It's insane. And on top of it, they're adding their Lorcana card, just like Pokemon did back in the day, through the Moana film. It is pure brilliance from what they're doing in terms of the marketing team. And obviously, people like me benefit from it and all these other factors. But if you're inside the game, as long as that game is receiving investment, you're going to see positivity and then react to the nice things that you do. If they do bad things and they see the negative side of it, they're going to make sure they don't make those mistakes again. And the only person that I've seen do this on a consistent basis at this current moment, in a very, very short amount of time, is Lorcana. And I'm not saying that because, you know, we sell it and all these other factors. I see it from the outside. I sat in a meeting and heard what loads of other stores were saying, and I was just like, okay, let's see how they respond to this. And trust me, I know they'll respond to it. So right, guys, that's our top 5. So we covered Magic. What did we cover? We covered Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, One Piece, Bandai Games, and all these other factors.
Lorcana.
Lorcana. that leaves us with maybe a few side games. Like, let's talk about Bushiroad. Bushiroad, I can tell you right now, if I had a player 10 years ago, they're still probably playing Vanguard now, if they're a Vanguard fan. They will be playing for 10 years straight. Through Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Moved over to Lorcana. Yu-Gi-Oh! Players are following the money sometimes at points. Other games like even One Piece players or Yu-Gi-Oh! Players or Pokemon players have all distributed into different games because there's more money and more prize in it. And it's funded by that. But one thing I will say about Bushiroad is there's something that I massively collect, which is Vice Warts. Anime, no IP other than maybe Bandai with Union Arena has not done that. Union Arena is not available in Europe. Vice Warts and the sign cards is huge. Cardfight Vanguard, even at this point, will consistently get 300 people at a big tournament with no failure of it ever dropping. It will always do that. And you know why? Because I genuinely believe that it would keep those 300 people in it constantly. So it's pretty big. Bushiroad also are very reactive on the market. Where things are not going right, they ask a lot of questions. And when I mean they ask a lot of questions, it's not like a representative comes down. I've had the Tani come down and come and asking me himself, what do you think of Vanguard? You're talking like the CEO has walked into my shop and asked me these sort of questions. Like, what do you think of these sort of things? These are very, very big things from even someone as a store. The people that do the supply, like create the sleeves of it, have walked into my shop and asked me, what do you think of our accessories? You're talking about the factories. They'll come and ask you, what do you think of Bushiroad products? They're the only company that are reactive of that sort of way. The only thing about Cardfight Vanguard is how do we get new people to come into it? They've got an app, they've got different things. Again, it's still a top 10, still top 10 in Japan, still doing okay. But for me, I'm very underknowledge. I'm not got the knowledge to kind of tell you what I think Vanguard should do, because the franchise itself doesn't play into like what the Big Five have been doing for years. But Vanguard has been here for, what, 10 plus years, and is still on the market and still doing probably consistent enough numbers for Bushiroad to appreciate this. And Bushiroad are a big company, guys. Not only do they have like musics and bands and all these other factors, they also, which is a big one, they have like a wrestling company. It's mad, you know, very, very big. So from that perspective, on the Bushiroad aspect, I think Vice is healthy, maybe not so healthy in the UK because of its collectability. Even for us, people will always pick up a pack if it's a popular franchise. If it's Spy Family, Chainsaw Man, Overlord, JoJo, all these other factors will always do well. However, Cardfight Vanguard, we'll see what it does. Shadowverse on the Bushiroad is done by a third party. They're helping Shadowverse do well. Again, we have people that play Shadowverse, absolutely love playing Shadowverse, and because of that, they caper into the thing. But it's a small group, but they do it well. Flesh and Blood, I can't talk to you about Flesh and Blood because we don't do it as much, but I can tell you that's seen a massive resurgence in the past year, and a lot more players are coming into Flesh and Blood because it's a producer that put their money where their mouth is. They went, boom, here's money, come play out of tournaments. And then they never retracted it. So obviously they're taking a piece of the pie that they earn and whack it into tournaments because they've taken the Magic concept and fly with it. Very, very good. Again, Starwars Set 1 flew off the market. Did very, very well. Absolutely crazy. Spark of Rebellion, again, flew off in America and all these other factors. But again, they got it right as well. Like, when they were announcing to us, I'll tell you, that was the most impressive announcement to a TCG being released ever. I sat there inside that meeting room with Asmodee at the forefront of running this game. So one of the biggest distributors in the world go, yeah, we're making this. And they've made games in the past, And everyone was a bit skeptical because they're like, yeah, but FFG have done stuff in the past and all these other factors, and it's not really flown as what it is. It was great at the beginning, but then it died and all these other factors. But we'll see what Star Wars does do. It's still untold. But when you walk down and they're like, yep, we've got OP ready for you, we've got high rarity ready for you. Every single pack's got a higher rarity in it. Legends are, we've got all of the rarities that you need, and on top of it, the concept of playing a game is completely fresh to everybody as well. Like, interactive, back and forth, not you do, I had my turn, you do your turn. It is completely a reactive game. I've got an action, you respond to that action, you do your action, I go back to my action. If anybody hasn't looked into Star Wars, it is probably one of the most fun-based games that you could probably play at this current moment. And on top of it, the people are lovely. I don't think, again, Star Wars is such a beautiful franchise because a lot of people into it are either of the age, but because Star Wars is also very fresh, we don't talk about the new films as much. But because it's still very fresh and they're still doing consistent things on the market with Disney, whether it's on a negative or positive, guys, okay, if you're an old school Star Wars fan and George Lucas fanboy and you understand everything's not going right, the characters are still there in the cards. So you can't really fault that they're making a lot of effort when it comes into the cards and all things. And I don't know if anyone's looked at the showcases. Absolutely stunning. Beautiful cards. Again, same thing. Uncharted, Altar, all these other factors. Star Wars have got all of the philosophies right from the beginning. They didn't need to be told what the right philosophies are or the wrong philosophies are. At this point, it's just adding mechanics to the game and hopefully not making it too complex to allow new people into it. You know, we've got youngsters in the game that are beating fully grown adults that can't, you know what I mean? That he plays every single Wednesday and he absolutely loves it. And he's actually starting to win packs. So you can really see if you've got the thought and everything like that to do well at a TCG and you stick at it long enough, I promise you, you will eventually get to the point that you'll enjoy the aspects of winning as well as casual, as well as just wanting to play and having fun. If you want to ask me any questions in the comments or anything like that below, you're very welcome to. I think I've covered all basically major, bigger TCGs and everything like that, but I'll end it on one important one that is probably been part of our community for about, what is this, since 2017? And talk to you about one of the most beautiful communities that we've run high scale events on. FFTCG. I mentioned it earlier. It was one of the most peculiar things to see FF in another card game when they've got their own card game. Now, don't get me wrong, the player base is not absolutely huge, but all I'll say is if you are watching this bit of the video and you've got this far of me ranting and raving and talking about the state of TCG at the moment, go and look at FFTCG. They've learnt a lot of things over the time. Jamal's in the background going, ah! But, so you might have heard that in the video, but yeah. But what I will say is, not that community has not only become my friends, it's one that we communicate and they're very reflective of always trying to make improvements to the game. Whether that's a negative or positive, I don't know. It is very affordable to play the game. You can buy almost a master carton or just a case of the game, which will cost you £90 to £100 a box, right? So that's like $4.50 a case. And then at that point, you should have every single playable card in that set every 3 months. Name any card game that will do that. Yeah, if you want the high rarity stuff, it's hard to hit. But guess what? If you buy 12 of that booster boxes, you get every single high rarity card, other than the chase card, which is a sign card, which is at random, which is like a manga rare, guys. So it's just as hard to hit as that. And they're worth that sort of money. You know, worth anywhere from 3 to 700, depending if it's a cloud or not a cloud. But like this one was Clive. So it really does depend on that sort of card. But name a card that you can put 900 quid in and you get every single card. Every single high rated card. Master set it immediately. None. I'll tell you right now. The answer's none. And that might be a positive or negative for some people, but ultimately, if you like Final Fantasy, please come down on a Saturday and give it a try. It is one of the most blessed games I've ever been part of selling and doing everything. And the community is fantastic. They're loud, but fantastic. So guys, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully this is just the humble opinion of a store owner that's been doing this for 10 years. So hopefully you've taken some sort of information out of this and enjoyed my conversation with you guys. Hope you have a lovely day. Talk to you soon.